Every little bit counts, and it does add up. Doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're driving a lot of miles, it can add up very quickly. How can you get free time? One of the easiest way to get free time was putting on...
You're gonna be sitting there, idling, not moving.
Stop and go.
Stop, right, which is the worst.
How do you save money when you're RVing?
Guys, fuel is crazy expensive.
And who doesn't want to save money? I know we do.
Well, of course we do, we always do. But a lot of you out there may be new RVers, but we're gonna tell you today a lot of ways that you can save money on fuel if you're a newbie or a veteran.
So the first one may seem to be the most obvious, but sometimes the most obvious things are what we overlook. So if you look behind us, you can notice we are parked. You know what we're not doing right now? We're not burning fuel. So number one is going to be, if you're able to stay at a place longer, driving less, you will obviously save on fuel. Now, the flip side is if you're staying at a private park or a campground, you're paying to stay there, but this is focused on fuel.
Right, and especially full-timers, you know, a lot of people will stay in one place for a long period of time. And a lot of part-timers will get seasonals, and then they're not traveling all around spending money that way.
So we've had quite a few people reach out to us about merchandise. We do wear some of our merchandise sometimes. We should be better marketing it, but we don't. This is the merchandise we have, guys. This is the newer design. And the back of her shirt has that. We have hoodies, sweatpants, shirts,
mugs, cups, yeah,
all kind of things. Perfect way to support the channel, or if you're gonna go to an RV show, it's a good way for us to pick you out.
We love seeing you guys at the show.
Yeah, and they're really good quality. They're a New Jersey-based company. We'll put the link down below if you're interested.
So the next one, number 2, is going to be don't idle. And I remember this, where there were fuel shortages.
She likes to idle in the morning. When it's cold out, she turns her car on to keep it warm.
I'm gonna get into a warm car. But I remember when there were fuel shortages a number of times, and that was one thing they kept saying. People were waiting online for fuel, and they were saying stop idling because that wastes so much more gas than actually fuel than even driving.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of newer cars, and your car does it. If you stop at a red light, it will actually shut the engine off. Now, the flip side is, the rumor is that that's not really good for your engine, turning on and off. But I will tell you something, when we're going down the freeway, highway, if I stop for a pee break at a rest stop, stretch out, whatever, sometimes people will leave that motor running to leave the AC. I shut it off. It's like literally, as soon as I throw in a park, I shut it off, because it may be one stop, but if you're doing 3, 4, 5 stops, it does add up. The next one seems kind of obvious also, is keeping a steady speed and not driving as fast. So I track the fuel mileage. I know every time we fill up, I'm like, hon, can you divide this by this?
I break out the calculator.
Yeah, so if we're on a long highway trip, we can get about 7 miles per gallon. Now, if we're more local, stop and go, we're driving a little faster, that can drop down to 6.7, 6.8. Doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're driving a lot of miles and gas is 5.50 a gallon, although it's not that this year, it can add up very quickly. So we find for us, a really good speed is between 60 and 65. 55 would be better, but it's almost too slow on the highway. I know if we were driving 70 and above, we definitely see a decline. So that sweet spot, 60, 65, is when we get our best mileage.
So the next one is going to be cut back on the AC. Now it depends. So for us, we can run our AC on our batteries, but we didn't used to be able to do that. So if you have to run your generator in order to run your AC when you're on the road, remember that's using fuel. Now it's not using a ridiculous amount, but as we've mentioned through all of these, if you're doing all these different things, it does add up. So the next one is actually something that is near and dear to my heart, and that is hashtag stuff. Don't carry or tow as much, because that definitely will drain your fuel more.
Easier said than done, right?
I know.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a variety of factors that affect your fuel mileage, but the weight, it takes more energy to move things from A to B. So if you're loading up with, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 extra pounds, it's going to affect the fuel mileage.
We're actually leaving in a couple days on a trip.
Let's try to pack light this time.
I will pack light. Next one, very important and often overlooked, is to check your tires and your tire pressure, because that really can affect it as well.
Well, you want to check your tires pretty much before every trip for any kind of damage, because that could be a big safety issue. But uneven wear, not having the proper pressure, we keep ours based on the weight of our motorhome, 95 pounds all around. But then if you have a tow vehicle or a towed vehicle, you want to check it on there also. It can make a big difference, a couple of % difference as far as fuel mileage, which is actually a lot.
You shrunk. We're on a hill here. I'm going to enjoy that for a few. All right, the next one is something that Izzy loves to, well, maybe not loves to do, but does religiously, is keeping up on maintenance in terms of your filters and things like that. So share what you do.
Yeah, making sure everything is running appropriately and efficiently on your motorhome. If you have a motorhome, if you have a towable, won't really apply to the RV, but will apply to your
truck.
tow vehicle for sure. So like MJ said, oil change, air filter is a huge one. I know a dirty air filter causes inefficiencies. We change it once a year. For us, although we probably drive, 3,000 to 5,000 miles a year, air filter doesn't really have to be changed. It's $15. Swap it out. We always have a clean air filter. Change the oil for us every 5,000 miles.
The next one also, and we've actually been hitting this a lot in our recent trips, and Izzy's like, why is this happening on every trip that we're going on lately? And that is to try to avoid driving on very windy days. Sometimes you can't. We don't have a lot of flexibility, but we've been hitting a lot of windy days, and that can affect it.
Yeah, we talked about the different factors, tire pressure, speed. Aerodynamic is probably the biggest factor that's going to affect. There's no getting around it. RVs are not aerodynamic, so you're already starting like 6 steps behind. But yeah, windy days, I'll just take for example, I used to do triathlon, and they used to talk about free time, right? Well, how can you get free time? One of the easiest way to get free time on the bicycle was putting on, to cheat and
draft.
Putting an aero helmet on, being tucked down. 56 miles, you can save upwards of like 30 to 40 seconds just by doing that, not putting any more effort, just by being more aero and drafting, which I got a penalty for that one.
Yes, you did. Is it? Now, if you,
it cost me placing. I got a freaking
you
penalty.
You would have gotten a medal.
I think third place.
So we both, I did that race with you. We both used to do them. I didn't do it to win. Izzy did it to win. I just did it to do it. And he literally would have come in, what, second or third?
Third, yeah.
Third. And yet, because he had to win,
no,
he had to cheat.
It was very inadvertent. So I was looking to pass. I was looking to pass somebody, but I was drafting them too close while I was passing. The stupid official was right there. Usually it's not like the officials are not right. He was literally right there. Yeah. And I remember we ended the race, and I knew my time. I'm like, what the hell? Why am I not? And it was a penalty, a drafting penalty. But it shows you it actually works. That's why it is you can't do it. If you sit behind somebody, you let them do the work and you draft off of them.
So I'm going to be Captain Obvious here. And this seems like something that people would think of, but a lot of people don't. Now, when we plan our route, we have an RV-specific GPS. What I'm going to talk about here is make sure you plan your route so you don't get lost, in turn then making you drive extra. And a lot of people, I think, don't plan as well as others, not saying that we do, but we have our RV GPS, we know exactly where we're going. Sometimes things can happen, but just think about that. If you're taking a long trip, make sure you know exactly where you're going so you don't have to go driving around East Bumble, whatever, to get to your destination.
Not only when you're traveling, I know when we take our RV in for repairs, I try to group repair, like try to get a bunch of things at one time, because every time I take the motorhome to a repair center, the two that are biased, $50 to $60 just in fuel, back and forth. So I don't want to be going there every week. I'm like, all right, let's let things build up, and then we'll just go one time and let it sit there and make sure everything gets done.
This one is really important and can really help. Unfortunately, we are not really able to do this in most cases, especially when we're headed out on the road. Like on Wednesday, for example, when we're going, we are leaving after Izzy gets home from work and when I get home from work. So avoid leaving or traveling when there are going to be high traffic time. So during rush hour and things like that, you're going to be sitting there idling, not moving.
Stop and go.
Right, which is the worst. So in 2 years when Izzy's retired, we'll leave at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. But now it's always after work.
Yeah, and we've tracked this. Stop and go traffic absolutely kills our fuel mileage, because again, we're moving 20-something thousand pounds back and forth versus just getting it up and going and then just kind of letting momentum handle it. It's way more efficient as it could be going a steady speed versus start, stop, start, stop.
Put it in the comments below. What is your favorite time of day to leave on a trip?
And the last one we have experience with, one we really don't. We're going to talk about gas cards, discount clubs, and apps such as Gas Buddy. Now, as far as the discount cards, we don't use them because we don't have a diesel motorhome. That seems to be more targeted toward diesel, but we have used Gas Buddy, and there can be significant savings if you plan out your stops according to your miles. I know in New Jersey it's not different than other places. You can have 2 different gas stations, fuel stations, they all serve the same fuel. There could be a 25, 30, 35 cent difference in gallon of fuel. That is a huge difference when you're putting 80 gallons, 100, 150, 200 gallons. Think about it, that could be a lot of money just by maybe going an extra 10 miles down the road or driving a mile out. It could be a big difference.
I remember on our first long trip when we first got Nellie, that was when we went down to Fort Wilderness and Virginia Beach and Georgia and all these things. And you had all the, you had looked it up and had everywhere that we were going to stop. It was the cheapest.
Well, yeah, it could even change from state to state. So I know when we did that trip, I forgot what state it was, but just driving to the next state, not going out of our way, just driving to the next state, it was like 35 cents a gallon.
Right.
So why wouldn't we do that? We'll just kind of extend it out. In the comments below, let us know what are some of your fuel saving tips. Also, how do you save money when you're RVing? Because every little bit counts and it does add up. And then if you like videos like this, to the left of us, we're going to put our RV's newbie playlist. We'll put our RV DIY playlist. And for myself and MJ, it's a journey of a lifetime, and we'll see you on the road.